Let's get HANZOWEENY! HANZOWEENY in here! Take off your bald caps and your eyelashes! Shit on the floor! Let's get HANZOWEENY in here! I'm Mr. Mustache Dan! Jordy, this is fucking awful, okay? We're just pandering to a bunch of fucking idiots right now. This is bullshit. I'm not doing this song anymore.
What's up, Hans family, and welcome to this tutorial. Oh my fucking god, I can barely contain my excitement. I have wanted to do an in real life Rick for the longest time. Rick and Morty is the fucking shit. I love it so much, and if you don't love it, you're just wrong. I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know how to help you. You need to reevaluate some things right now. My husband Daniel was such a sport and sat for this. I really wanted to do it on someone else, not on myself. And he's great at dancing and acting, obviously. I mean, look at those dance moves. Anyways, everything will be listed down below as usual, and let's get to it. Alright, so here's little Daddy Dan, as we call him on my channel. And I'm throwing on a bald cap, and I'm just going to use a little bit of latex to blend the edge a little bit more into the skin so it's not such a sharp, stark edge. We want this shit to look kind of real, so we gotta have it blend. You'll just need about 2 or 3 layers, and then we're going to do some old age latex stippling. This is a great special effects technique to give yourself some wrinkles. It may not be the most perfect wrinkles how they would look naturally on the face, but it definitely gives plenty of texture to the skin, which looks fucking awesome in the end, especially all painted. What you want to do is just stretch the skin as much as you can into the direction that you do want the wrinkles to finally fall down in. Put a few layers of latex on while you have the skin all stretched, and then when they dry, if you just let it go, it'll create a wrinkled up pattern. Do this in thin layers, and I only did about 2 to 3. You can obviously do tons more layers if you want the wrinkles to be kind of thicker and go deeper into the skin, but I only wanted just a little bit. A tip when doing this to make it look pretty realistic, or somewhat more realistic, is to pull the skin strategically. When I'm working under the eyes, the skin over time would start to sag downwards and create some kind of eye bag texture, so I'm pulling the skin down, because when I release, it'll have horizontal type lines. And when you release the skin, you can always have either yourself or your model, whoever you're working on, scrunch up their face a little more so that it helps to accentuate where the little lines would be. Continue going all over the face, and I went for Daniel's neck too because I want every part of the skin that shows to be cohesive. I didn't even really need to stretch his neck. I just had him pull his neck back as far as he could and then just release it on his own. And when it comes to the neck, I did about 4 layers so that those would be even more exaggerated because necks get pretty saggy. You're probably going to run into a few spots that you can't particularly pull to be super tight. That's what she said, maybe? So on those, you just want to stipple a little bit of latex. This will help so that the base is still the same texture all around. Be careful too, because you don't want to pull too hard on any of this. And this will be a little uncomfortable during the process, but it looks fucking awesome in the end. And any areas that you're near hair that you don't want the latex to get into, just add the tiniest bit of Vaseline, and you'll be golden. Onto the paint job. I am using alcohol paints for most of this look. Alcohol paints are just the shit because they blend so translucently, so they don't have this thick, opaque look like if you were to put cream all over this. And since Rick in the show is more of a gray tone, I used a little bit of gray from this Grunge Skin Illustrator palette. And I'm blending that out through the entire face, making sure to really get into every single little nook and cranny that we've made with the latex. I'm also switching to a fluffier brush with more of a beige tone alcohol paint, just to blend on top of the gray so it has more dimension. This look is all about building color. With a stippling sponge and a little bit of a red toned alcohol paint, I stippled on a little bit of color all over the face too to give kind of some broken blood vessels under the skin. I remember my grandpa's nose was like fucking bright red from that when he was in his old age. Bless his soul. And when working around the more sensitive areas like the nose, like right in the fucking nostrils and right by the eye, I don't particularly want to be using 99% alcohol and possibly injure my husband. Doesn't sound like a good time. So I'm switching to a cream-based product just to kind of darken those areas and add a little bit of orange tone too to the eyes. Switching back to the alcohol paint, I'm using a brown just to map out where I want the deepest wrinkles to be. And now these don't exactly go with what we created, but what we put down with the latex is just to add plenty of texture to the skin. In the end, adding anatomically correct lines helps to just kind of bring it all together. So still just following a reference picture, I'm using the alcohol paints to line out the face a little bit more, And I do tap out the color quite a bit so it's not quite as dark. And something else you can do is really layer these. So I'm taking a fluffy brush a lot of the time with a little bit of the lighter toned color and quite a bit of alcohol, just to blend it out a little bit more and soften up the color. And since they're alcohol activated, just adding a little extra alcohol to a fluffy brush helps to make these even more translucent. This is just a wedge sponge that I've ripped some little holes into the end. It's a really great and easy as fuck technique if you're trying to add some spotting, some discoloration to the skin. But I'm just dabbing this all over. I want tons of discoloration. This also kind of starts the spotting for some liver spots I'm gonna do on the skin, just so he looks extra old. Dipping into a matte dark brown shadow, I use this just to create a little more depth into some of the features. Underneath the brow bone and into the crease of the eye would be quite dark because there would be a little bit more sunken in there. There's usually a larger wrinkle that goes into the crease of the eye. This also helps just to contour the face very slightly, but I'm not going too ham with it. We're not going for like a cut-ass contoured face. Just a little bit of shadow under the cheekbones and the chin. And going right back in to the cream color we used earlier, which is just a very light skin tone to add a few highlights to the face. I've said this in tutorials before, probably not in a minute though, but wherever there's like a very dark shadow, a highlight is right nearby. Adding just a tiny bit of a highlight right on top of where the high points of the face are and right above the wrinkles shows that the light is catching where the skin is raised, and then the shadow is there that goes deep into the skin where the wrinkle then recedes. Now that that's all done and blended out onto the liver spots, which are probably my favorite part, they look so fucking cool. Still just using the alcohol paints, getting a little bit of a brownish red tone, dotting on the color, and then tapping it out so it's not quite as dark. I do some smaller ones, some big ones, but mainly focusing around the outsides of the face and the top of the head. Rick's hair is obviously that beautiful light blue, and he got that unibrow going on. So I'm using a cream paint for this. This is the Makeup Forever Flash palette, and mixing together some white and blue to get a very light blue, and just spooling it into Daniel's mustache. I know Rick doesn't have a mustache, but Daniel has the most beautiful pedo stash ever, and I would never make him shave it off for a tutorial. That shit is way too sexy. Do the exact same thing to the eyebrows, and to start the unibrow, I'm still using that spoolie because it gives a great kind of hair-like effect. But just to add a few more here and there, I take a smaller definer brush just to draw up some lines. If Rick was a real-life asshole, I think that his hair would be pretty sparse, still spiky, and kind of fucked up like in the show. But I'm using some crepe hair to put down on top of some Prozaid on the head, and I'm keeping it in very sparse clumps. The crepe hair does come wavy, so you just have to take it and straighten it out with a straightener really quick, which is super easy to do. And I mainly kept the crepe hair around the edge of the head with tons of forehead space left open, and just a little bit around the sides to hide any of the areas of the bald cap that were still kind of showing. If you're planning on doing this for Halloween, I would definitely spray the hair a little bit with some blue hairspray. I tried to use some water-activated body paint to get it blue, but didn't work the best. You also want to make sure to add a little clump to the top too if you or whoever you're doing this on is sporting a mustache so it doesn't look too much like Albert Einstein. Hairspray it into a spiky mess so it stays in place. And then just to add a little bit more of a Rick touch, I used a nicotine stain to stain the teeth extra yellow, because Rick got some yellow teeth. And that is the entire Rick IRL look. You could pair this with a Morty, or in our case, a Jordy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you loved this tutorial. Let me know what you think down below and give me a thumbs up if you did like it. Make sure to subscribe. I'm putting out a new tutorial every other day in the month of October. And just a reminder, you can vote for me in the American Influencer Awards. I'm up for Creative Makeup Artist of the Year. I just love the absolute fuck out of you guys, and I will see you the day after tomorrow. Bye! Okay, I want you to swirl it kind of slow. Yeah. Like, kind of like look at it like, oh yeah, cool. Oh fuck yeah, yeah, hell yeah. Oh my god.